Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with Chicago Jazz Violinist and leader of the group, Bowmansville Swing Ethan Adelsman. He took some time out of a very busy schedule to talk about what has been going on lately, the band's rich history, and what is next, and so much more. So get to know him, get to know the band, and dig this interview, my friends. So, right up at the top, thank you for getting in touch with me. I always love it when bands kind of impromptu get a hold of me and I can hear some more quality music that's happening out in these United States of ours. So, thank you. I love Chicago, love Gypsy Jazz. I dig what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I guess what I should start out here by saying is that there's a level of, not only is the violin, I saw Regina Carter recently at the 18 Vine Jazz Fest here, and the violin is, man, it was beautiful, and it's not one of those instruments that you see very often in jazz, but when you do, it's powerful. So my question to you is this: how did you get involved with the violin and bring it into the world of jazz?
You know, I started playing violin at the age of 9, and I was always just in love with jazz. You know, my dad had one jazz album, and it's kind of blue, and I listened to that until it wore out, basically, and I just absolutely, I've always been in love with jazz. Even, you know, I was classically trained in college. I went to school for it, you know, majored in violin performance, but classical never really felt like the right fit for me. You know, I just never could read music as well as other people. I never was, you know, it just was always lacking, but I always had a good ear. So it was like, well, a couple of years ago I was auditioning for orchestras after taking a break from violin for a while. I was auditioning and just got to this point where I had all this tension in my shoulders and in my body, and it was just like, it was really bad. So I was like, well, I'm going to take a jazz course at the Old Town School of folk music, which is right in my neighborhood there. And so I took this Gypsy Jazz course there, the Gypsy Jazz Ensemble, and immediately it was just like, all right, there's no going back. I started the band while I was taking that class, and it's evolved over the 2 years that we've been doing it. But that was my just jumping in with both feet kind of moment. You know, it was, I haven't looked back yet, so just totally absolutely fell in love with it.
So the band formed in 2015 is kind of an amalgamation of classical, rock, bluegrass, blues, jazz, and Latin jazz. And you do this with Graham, Mason, Pete, and John.
And John.
Yes. So on paper, that's what's happened here. But in a human sense, how did the band come together, and how are you guys doing here in 2017?
Yeah, it's been a kind of a circuitous route. I mean, it's totally a different set of members from when it started, and that's just been, you know, the process of meeting new people and me getting further into the scene. You know, I mean, Mason's been around in this world for a very long time. I met him through Graham. Graham and I have been friends for quite a while, and we'll get together every couple months and just talk about forming a band or doing something along these lines. You know, when Graham introduced me to Mason, it was like, all right, well, one day maybe I'll be able to play with him, and then that kind of came about. You know, it just was like he told me one day, he's like, all right, I'm ready, let's do this. So it was pretty awesome. And then, you know, Pete and John, they've been in the Gypsy Jazz scene in Chicago for quite a while here, you know, as well, and it's playing in different ensembles and with different groupings, and so that, you know, when I asked them to be a part of it, they both were ready to do it as well. So that's how we kind of wound up where we're at, and I love the group now. I think it's a really good fit for everybody. You know, it's fun.
So let me ask you this: are you trying to reinvent that kind of genre of gypsy jazz, or are you paying homage to those like Janko and others that really kind of paved the way for it? What's your methodology? How are you guys going about what you do?
Well, you know, my whole thing with it is I want it to be natural and organic. I don't want it to be contrived, and I want to do something that's new. And definitely, you know, it's going to pay homage just in that it's in that style, kind of. But I definitely want it to come out of everyone's own natural experiences and come from the heart for everybody, and not be something that's forced or contrived. By that measure, I mean, we've got a lot of different influences that play into it, but really what we're striving for is just something that's genuine and from the heart. The best music is that way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm sure the audiences respond well to it. I know in Kansas City, I've never specifically seen anything local that's been kind of an amalgamation of the Gypsy Jazz scene, but I would imagine if there's those that are seeking it out or run into it by way of going out that night, they would have to be pretty enthralled by it.
Yeah, we've gotten great feedback and response from the both the crowds and the venues that we've started playing, here. I mean, just about everywhere we play, they ask us to come back. So they like it, the audience likes it, Yeah, it works.
So what is the future for the band as far as albums and going outside of Chicago or more within Chicago? What are you guys looking to do with your lives, say here in from here into 5 years from now?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I mean, I work a day job, and so does just about everyone else in the band. Mason's a full-time musician. But that's my main goal is just to make this my full-time thing. That's what I really want to do. We've got some pretty exciting stuff on the horizon in the near future. We're going to Sweden in a month, actually,
cool.
For a festival there, a big like art, music, all sorts of genres, and it's kind of like South by Southwest, but it's in Sweden.
Cool.
So we're going for that, and then I've really been getting into house concerts lately, and the idea of doing those because they're such great. They're intimate. They're so intimate, and really great chances to really connect with an audience. So I've been exploring that more, and that's there's a lot of things, a lot of avenues that I want to go down with that, and with other things too. But in 5 years, I want to see us playing festivals more, doing more house concerts, albums. At least have a couple, 2 or 3 down by then.
Right on.
So yeah, that's kind of where I see us going.
Very cool. So if you had to kind of get to the essence of who you are as a band, as an organism, as a collective of people that love music and love making music, everyone is going to have a perception of you all as a band, and obviously as individuals, but as a band organism, when you all go out and do your thing together, who do you think you are?
I think we're a band that likes to have fun. Like we're doing this because we love doing it, and I guess that's why anyone plays music. But I think, we have a great time doing it, and I want that to kind of come across to our audience, and I think people see that and and engage with it. So that's where that's our identity. I think we have a good time.
That's good. That's a perfect way to kind of wrap everything up. Thank you for opening up about the band, Ethan, and giving me kind of an overview, and I'm looking forward to spinning you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for being in contact.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Chicago, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Ethan for his time, his stories, and all that music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.